This Detroit-style sourdough pizza was insanely good, and even better, it was made all in the same day. I got the recipe for the crust from the sourdough mom, but let me show you how I made it. In a bowl, I added 125 grams of active starter and 300 grams of warm water. I mix that up until I get a milky consistency. Next, I add in 500 grams of unbleached bread flour and 12 grams of salt. I mix that all in using my hand, but you can use a dough whisk for this step. I like using my hand for this step so that I can make sure there's no pockets of dry flour in my dough. Once everything is incorporated well, I should have a shaggy dough. I scrape down my bowl and my hand, forming a rough ball in the center. I cover that with a towel and let that rest for 1 hour. After an hour, I do one set of stretch and folds and one set of coil folds to build up the gluten in the dough. Then I'll let that rest on my countertop for at least 3 hours or until doubled in size. After the dough has doubled in size, I'm going to turn it out on my counter and form it into a ball with some push and pulls. I made one large pizza, but if you wanted to make multiple pizzas, it's at this step where you would want to divide up your dough and then form the smaller dough balls. Next, I'm really going to take my time and stretch out my dough, making sure to not let it tear. Once it's stretched out pretty far, with the help of my amazing husband, we transfer it into our baking pan. Once the dough is stretched out and in the shape I want in my pan, I start by adding my sauce and toppings. I forgot to record it, but I put down a generous amount of sauce and then added some oregano and crushed red pepper for some extra flavor. I also forgot to hit record for this, but I added some veggies and pepperoni and then topped with a good amount of cheese. Now, to make it Detroit style, I add cheese over top the crust as well so that it's right up against the pan. When it bakes, the cheese gets super crispy and adds the perfect texture to the crust. Then I put my pizza to bake on the lowest shelf at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then I'll transfer the pizza to the top shelf for a few minutes until the cheese starts to lightly brown. This pizza was so good and the crust was everything. I don't think I'll ever go back to making regular pizza at home again.